You've got Mac and Mac. That would be John McMullen and Jody McDonald here with you on a off-season Thursday morning. It's amazing. There is absolutely nothing going on. There's no problem. There's plenty to talk about. The Eagles seem to find things for us to talk about, even on a Thursday in February morning here on Birds 365.
There's too much. I would argue too much. Boy, yeah. Oof.
And we're going to get into all of it over the next 2 hours. Two good guests, John Stolnis and Kratch, joining us today. And it's funny. I had the two or three things I thought we should talk about here in segment number one. And then John and I both punch up on the stream, and he notes A.J. Brown, and I had not seen his social media post yet. I said, all right, well, we can start there. But even before that, I thought A.J. Brown trumped me at 7:59 over what I thought should be the first story of the day. Oh, no. I'm going to our stream, to our guy Daz, who's a frequent streamer. We love Daz.
That's a good line, by the way. I like that. That's a good line.
Who are Statler and Waldorf?
I think he's talking about the golfers, I think. Craig Statler and what is Waldorf's first name? I think that's what he's talking about. Yeah, I guess because we look like Statler and Waldorf. I think if it is, that's pretty funny. I give him credit for it.
I got no idea what the hell he's talking about. They could have been Crimean policymakers. I no idea who Statler and Waldorf are.
I think that's what I think he's talking about, the golfers. But I think it made me chuckle if he is talking. If he isn't, I got no idea what he's talking about.
That's kind of because that's not the way. And spelling is optional when you're typing stuff.
Oh yeah, that's not the way.
That's not even close.
Spelling's not. I'm speculating to say the least.
So Daz, we're talking to you. What the hell are you talking about with Statler and Waldorf? We don't quite know. And yes, John and I may argue today, but we will get over it and deal with it. Not a problem. None whatsoever, no matter who you want to compare us to. All right, let's argue. Let's argue with A.J. Brown. I did not see his social media post. You told me about it right before the show started. You and I, you have discussed the fact that individuals, mostly fans, but sometimes the players and or team will quote unquote group the Philadelphia media into one big pile, and they'll accuse the Philadelphia media of doing something or conspiracy or whatever else. And sometimes the Philadelphia media is just your ever-growing but still relatively small group of Eagle beat reporters, and then you can pull everybody else into the mix, like yours truly and other writers and other broadcasters, TV, radio, whatever else, and they become the Philadelphia media. A.J. Brown decided to take a shot at the Philadelphia media when it was, at best, a former member of the Philadelphia media who decided to stir the pot this week. What the hell is A.J. getting at?
Yeah, I don't know. And and I thought about tweeting back, and I don't want to start that. I think, and I can, I think AJ knows that the people that are there every day, the people he sees, their faces every day, are pretty fair and objective to him, I think. And, you get frustrated at times when stuff comes out, because I mentioned yesterday on the show, it was clear where Craig wanted people to go with that. And that's one of the problems I had with it. And it's about AJ, at least from the standpoint of what I think he was trying to accomplish. And he's not Philadelphia media. So that part of it's lame when people do that. And it drives me crazy. I've said it on the show, like we're all sitting in a restaurant coming up with ways to, take down the Philadelphia Eagles, which is ludicrous. So it bothers me, but there's not much you can do about it. I mean, it's never going to stop. People think that way. People believe that way. If I could stop it, I would stop it. I think, AJ, on social media has had a long history, tends to do things and then calm down and realize, that probably wasn't fair. I think the same thing will happen here, but we'll see how it shakes out. But yeah, it certainly wasn't. Now D Gunn tweeted something out as well, so that might have been part of it. Which but I don't think that was. That's just D Gunn's basically just retweeting what people are telling him, and what he said was one thing about Jalen Hurts, which was Jalen's big contract pulled him in numerous directions on and off the field, which put him under a lot of pressure and he didn't handle well. I got the same thing. I wrote that in Sports Illustrated earlier this week. So, and our buddy Joe Santaliquito got the same thing as well, probably a month ago, when he did his piece on Bleeding Green Nation. So clearly, there's a perception in the building that was the case. Whether it's true or not is a different conversation. But if somebody believes that, and I'm pretty sure Derek and I and Joe and everybody else who's done it, because it's more than that, but those are the three I know offhand, aren't talking to the same person. So there's a perception in the building that that's what happened. And then the second part was about Big Dom, which has nothing to do with AJ. And it's about Sirianni's emotions on the sideline, which Nick has admitted he's a work in progress. He gets too emotional at times. And I pointed out the quote he had on December 26th. He's already admitted that he's a work in progress. And Big Dom is sort of his get back coach. If you think about Sean McVay made the get back coach famous, ironically, it's Ted Rath, who works for the Eagles, was Ted Rath. It's not that big of a deal. Anybody trying to speculate, oh, Big Dom wasn't there for Nick Sirianni, and that's why the Eagles lost. Come on. I mean, at what point do you get down to the players? At what point? When you're done blaming the coaches and the security guy and everybody else under the sun, at what point do you get to the stinking players?
Couple things about what D Gunn said. And you and I know D Gunn and how good he is and the kind of contact he has and the fact that the players do, right, just saddle up and tell him stuff. He is very good at getting it out of the players. I'm not surprised about the Jalen thing. You know this because I did it with you right here on Birds 365. When Jalen Hurts signed that mega contract, I said, do I think that Jalen Hurts is going to get fat cat? Do I think he'll ease up because, hey, I got paid, I'm good? No, I didn't believe that was going to be the case. Did I think he was going to get a big head and an ego and be difficult to deal with because he got paid? No, I didn't believe that was going to be the case. Did I think that Jalen Hurts was potentially not going to put in the work necessary during the offseason because he won't be as driven as he usually is? No, I didn't believe that was going to be the case. But the one thing I did worry about was that he was going to become not only the face of the Philadelphia Eagles, but one of the faces, certainly lining up behind Patrick Mahomes, but one of the faces of the league, which is going to bite into your time. People are going to want you to go and shoot video and tape commercials and glad hand and everything else. And that to me was a legitimate concern. And the way D Gunn wrote it, being pulled in numerous directions on and off the field, that's exactly what I thought could happen. What I didn't think, and Derek at least puts emphasis on this, and again, as you stated, John, none of us know for sure. The only one who really knows for sure is Jalen. Those inside the inner circle of the Eagles can certainly have speculation on it because they're there with him every single day, spending time with him, watching him, reading his eyes and stuff like that. They succumbed to the pressure of the contract. If that's accurate, John, that's not good. That's a legit concern because the other things that he had to go through last offseason, deal with the contract, worrying about the contract, then when it gets done, being asked to do all this extra work, maybe didn't get the football work in that he did, that'll succeed. That'll come back this year. But if he didn't deal well with the pressure of being a $250 million quarterback, well, guess what? He's even more of a $250 million quarterback this year because last year was the last year of his previous deal. This is the first year of his actual new deal. and his cap hit is going to be that much higher. So he's a smart enough guy to realize, yeah, even more is going to be expected of me, which should ratchet up the pressure. That scares me a little bit. Do you think that's the case? How accurate do you think D-Gun's read on it was that he felt the pressure and he didn't handle it well?
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't think of that, so I'll give you credit. I focus more on, yeah, he didn't handle it well, because I heard the same thing, and as I said, Joe wrote the same thing. Other people, I think Jeff McClain wrote the same thing. So we're all hearing the same thing. So I guess I got hyper focused on that. As far as being under a lot of pressure and he didn't handle that well specifically.
Let's see, because D-Gun used that very phrase, under a lot of pressure. So that's why I'm asking you, what do you think, Jalen? Do you think that was a contributing factor to Jalen's less than?
I mean, I don't. I think the perception, like I said, the perception to me is, and you can read it both ways. I get why you're reading it that way. I read it as he's getting pulled in numerous directions, and the pressure of that he didn't handle well. The pressure, not the pressure on
pressure of being pulled in different directions rather than the pressure of performing on the field.
Yeah, because because I've heard similar things. So that's why I took it that way. You could be right. You could have taken it the right. I could have taken it the wrong way. And I didn't think of that. So good on you for, bringing up that part of it. I just, this guy played on the largest stages at Alabama. He played on he was phenomenal in the Super Bowl. I just don't think that stuff is going to affect him. I mean, part of that is baked into my thought process on the player to begin with. He never seems overwhelmed by the moments in the actual game. I think that's when he's happy. I think the other stuff is a pain in the what. I compare it to coaches in that, it doesn't matter what you are or where you say or where you've been or what you've done as a coordinator. I swear I've talked to so many coaches over the years. Every single one of them says the same thing. Oh, I didn't know how much other stuff I had to do, how much other they usually say bull bleep or something of that nature, whether it's dealing with people like me, the media, or whether it's TV, you got to sit down with the TV crews or doing the games and take all this time out of your way. You got to do charity stuff. You're pulled in 90 million directions. That is far different than football. We've been talking about in college with NIL, the transfer portal, and all the college coaches want to get out because they can't focus on football. It's not that bad in the NFL, but for the head coaches, a lot of their time is focused on things other than football, and they got to get used to it, and they got to figure out a way to manage it. And the people that do it well. Some people never do it well, never figure it out, and they're gone, and they're back being coordinators and or position coaches, and maybe they're happy with that. But I look at it similarly to that, in that, he's pulled in a million different directions, and he's got to do that. And maybe it's turning down an endorsement, or maybe it's that to make sure he's got, because I was told and the quote I got was he's a creature of habit, and he's got everything set up, and he was getting pulled in all these different directions, and he couldn't do his normal routine. And the perception is that hurt him a little bit. So, but I understand the way you explained it, and it could be that. I can't say 100% it's not that, but everything I've seen about Jalen Hurts in football games, he doesn't seem to get overwhelmed by moments. So
yeah, not at all. If anything, he's too flatline a guy. I think he would need to be more emotional than less emotional, as a matter of fact. And one last thing before we get our first guest, Johnny Stone, that's ready to rock. Nick Sirianni, work in progress. You're a 3-year NFL coach now. There's no more progress. You need to be a finished product, big guy. Year 1, okay, fine. Year 2, you went to the Super Bowl. Work in progress was never broached. Now this year you take a step backwards.
Well,
whoa,
he
whoa,
was
whoa,
talking about
I'm
his
a work in
emotions. He's not
I don't
talking
care
about
what he was talking about.
talking
You're a
about it,
finished product. You've got 2 full years and a Super Bowl appearance logged under your belt. You can't use that as an excuse. That's out the window. I'm sorry. That's
Well,
lame is what that is.
I think everybody's grows. I think Andy
I'm
Reid
60 years
grows as
old.
a
I'm a
coach.
work in progress. Bull bleep.
Well, you
No,
are.
you got to be what you are.
I
You're
mean,
expected to develop in certain stages in life. And once you've logged 2 years into the NFL head coach, you can't throw your hands up and go, well, I'm still a work in progress.
well,
No,
he
you're being
said,
paid to be a done product.
well, and to be fair, here's his quote about, he's asked about being too emotional on the sidelines. I need to be better in those scenarios when there are some high pressure areas. They've got to see me calm and not tense there, the players. There's a time and place to be tense, and there's a time and place not to be. I know that's something that I've always have to work on, that I always have to work on as a head coach. And so that's something I'm constantly working on. So, I mean, I don't think that's bad. I don't think that's bad at all.
I think it's
Where
amazing.
everybody's a human being. Everybody makes mistakes. He could be coaching this team for a quarter century. He's not, obviously, but he could be coaching this team for a quarter century like Bill Belichick, or be in the league for a quarter century like Andy Reid. You're still learning stuff. You're still getting better. I don't have a problem with that at all.
I don't remember Belichick saying when he was relieved of duty of the Patriots, I'm still working on stuff. I think he kind of
Well,
accepted
whether you verbalize it or not, you're still working on stuff. In fact, that's
once
what
you
sets
verbalize it, you're pointing it out. You're using it as an
Well,
excuse.
there's nothing
That's
wrong.
weak.
There's nothing wrong with verbalizing things, as long as you correct them. If you don't correct them, and then you identified, is it a weakness in your game? Yeah, then you can argue. But saying I don't have any weaknesses, well, you're an a-hole at that point. Everybody's got weaknesses. Andy Reid still makes mistakes. Andy Reid make time management mistakes in the Super Bowl, as everybody likes to point out in Philadelphia. He's still a work in progress, but he's better than everybody else. That's the point.
There were 8 new coaches in the National Football League this year, John.
Yeah.
Could any of them have saved their job by saying I'm a work in progress?
Well, no.
That's
to me, that's not. If you just want somebody to pretend like they never make a mistake, I don't know if that's a good thing. And worse is if you believe you never make a mistake, that's even worse, because we're all human beings. I'm pretty sure I make mistakes every day. I'm pretty sure you make mistakes. I'm sure John Stolness doesn't, but that's John Stolness. I see him in the green room. We all make mistakes. I mean, to say I never make a mistake, I think that's worse than anything else. If you really believe that.
It just came off to me as if it was him rationalizing and just allowing his mistakes to roll over because, hey, I'm a work in progress. You have to be held accountable.
He was answering a question. It's not like he went up and said, I'm making an excuse. He was asked a question when he was, and that was when he was yelling at, who was it? Who the heck was he yelling about? It wasn't AJ. AJ was there. DeMonte was there. Who was he yelling at? I don't really remember. It might have been Reddick when he was telling him to get it back on.
Oh, Reddick was coming off the field. Yeah.
It might have been that one. That's what he was asked a question about that. So he was answering a question, and that was his answer to the question.
All right. You and I agreed to disagree on this one. I think Nick did a good job for the most part in season, off season, taking bullets. Because I think you got to take bullets. If you don't, then you're just a BS artist. And I don't think he is. I think he does take responsibility for what goes wrong, and maybe even responsibility shouldn't take, because I'm still not 100% about the firing of Matt Patricia. I've certainly moved to I believe it was his idea, not Howie and Jeffrey's idea, more so that he started the process, but I'm still not 100% sure. But on work in progress, no. When you've been you've been a head coach and gotten to the Super Bowl and you're in your 3rd year and you go, I'm still too emotional. I'm a work in progress. That's excuse making. All right. He's McMullen. I'm McDonald. John Stone has been waiting patiently. He of Bleeding Green Nation and the INEN podcast is up next here on Birds 365.
Go to get your